Shri for joining dear devotees. Let's get started. Mama Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasma Shri Guruve Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaura Bhaktarindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you so much for joining today and giving your kind association. Today's topic is fear and what is our true shelter? So let's get started. Fear is a very unhealthy emotion. It's like a covering of our soul, which has to be removed. But to remove it, we need to understand what is fear, where it starts from, how does it manifest itself, and what are the consequences when a person is experiencing fear. So this is what we're going to discuss today. So each time we get, this emotion of fear, just this negative emotion of fear, when it kind of overcomes us, right? It's only because we are thinking whatever we are anticipating, right? And the kind of control that we'd like to have over the situation, over people, over our relationships, all this is not happening. That's the reason why fear comes. Because we are thinking we are the independent controllers and doers. Things are not going to go according to the way we have planned. Our anticipations of the way the events should flow might not happen. The way we are, expecting that the relationships will turn out, it's not happening, or it may not happen. So this is where fear comes. So uncertainty breeds fear in the heart of a conditioned soul. And I think I'm just going to make this big. Yeah. And there are different ways to teach people. One of the ways to teach people is to teach them a lesson, like how we have learned in our schools. Teachers come in the class and then they give a lesson, and that's how the student learns. Another way of teaching is by giving an experience. We see that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, how Krishna sends Uddhava to Sri Vrindavan Dham, and then so that he could experience and learn what is the height of pure love that the gopis are experiencing. And then just by their association and Krishna giving an opportunity of this experience to Uddhava, he was able to learn his lesson. Another way of teaching people is by your own presence, just by your conduct, achar, right? By the way a pure devotee is conducting himself or herself, right? By that way, we can also teach the lessons. We can see that even in the Shastras, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just by his presence, was able to change the heart of Prakashananda Saraswati. The effulgence which is coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body, it was enough for Prakashananda Saraswati to change his opinion and accept the Supreme Lord as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We can also teach others simply by directing them to the right person. The example of this in the Srimad Bhagavatam is how Vidura, he wanted to learn the truth, everything, he wanted to learn everything from Uddhava, who had spent most of his time with Krishna when he was away from Vrindavan and Dwaraka. But then Uddhava says, no, I'm, younger than you, dear Vidura. You can learn this, whatever you want to hear from and learn. Maitreya Muni will be coming very soon. You can learn from him. So just by directing the person to another qualified personality, that way also we can teach the lesson to this person, impart the lesson to them. Another way to teach is by diverting them from the real course, and then slowly getting them back to the truth. This we can learn in the example of Lord Buddha. This is how he did. He came and deviated in Shankaracharya. He was giving a deviant philosophy and then saying we don't have to really, he discarded the Vedas simply because at that time the people were quoting scriptures and doing different activities. So this way, they just kind of diverted, and then again, people came back to the scriptures. Later on, when the other incarnations like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came back. Another way is also by teaching people by small increments. This we can see in the life of Narad Muni with Mrugari. Mrugari, the hunter, he was just shooting the animals and then slowly, killing them. The pain that these animals were experiencing was so intense. So Narad Muni understood that this Megari is very hard-hearted. If I ask him to stop killing, he's not going to take it. So let me just give him step by step. He says to him, why are you just half killing these animals? Kill them fully. So this way, Nagari was able to, he understood that I should not, slowly torture them, let me kill. And then slowly realized that this is also very, very bad. So when some personality gives like small increments, so, but then this kind of teaching can be done only by a qualified, very qualified personality like Narad Muni. If we give like, so, if we say, yeah, please fully kill, that's not going to be very acceptable in the devotee circle. And the last and the most interesting way to teach a person is by giving them or teaching them through the help of metaphor. This we can see like how Srila Prabhupada used to usually, tell the story. When a daughter-in-law comes, newly when the son gets married and then he gets his wife, the mother-in-law, if she's very smart, she's going to teach her daughter-in-law by teaching her own daughter in the house of how things will be done. If she directly tries to teach the daughter-in-law, what happens is the daughter-in-law might refuse and she might feel very unaccepted. So this is a very interesting way of teaching. Exactly like how Narad Muni will teach King Rachinabari. He tells a story of Puranjana. It's an allegorical story. It's actually the life of Rachinabari himself. But then he tells it in a very interesting way so that the king can actually understand. Because King Prachinabari was not in a position to accept it. And in this story, we come across fear. So that's the reason why the story is being narrated. So Puranjana is married to Puranjani, which is his intelligence. So Puranjana, the king Puranjana in the story, it represents the soul, the living entity. He's getting married to Puranjani, who is the wife, which is intelligence. Okay, so the intelligence will always direct the soul so that all the desires which are present in the mind can be acted out or fulfilled or accomplished, achieved. This is what is the duty of the function of the intelligence, and this is exactly what happens. So in their union, they're like more than 1,100 sons and 110 daughters. So these daughters and sons, they represent the network of karma, right? It's a lot of each time there is a relationship in this material world, they are present because of certain karmical background, whatever we have stored in our past. That's the reason why these relationships will manifest. So the network of karma is represented by the sons and daughters. And then we also see he's very much enjoying in his city of 9 gates. The 9 gates are representing the 9 holes in the body. The city of 9 gates is representing the body. So Narada Muni says, King Puranjana is enjoying like this. But then what happens is, as the time comes in, right, Chandavega, which is time himself, the personification of time, will come and attack his kingdom. That means it's coming and attacking the body of Prachinabadi. And then he's very much, disgusted and he's like stunned. And then the daughter of Chandavega, who is Kalakanya, she will come and then she will be very much, she wants to get married to Narad Muni, who is a brahmachari. And Narad Muni says, no, Narad Muni is a devotee here. Again, it's a metaphor, right? So Narad Muni doesn't accept Kalakanya because for a devotee, right, time doesn't act. As time progresses or as a devotee advances in age, right, they will not be having any fear. So what Narada Muni will do is he will make Kalakanya get married to fear personified, Bhaya. So this is how it will happen. So Kalakanya gets married to fear, which is Bhaya, right? So when old age also comes in, nobody wants to get married to Kalakanya. So Narad Muni will say, fear, which is Bhaya, you get married. So for a devotee, for a conditioned soul, what will happen? When the time comes in, that means as time advances, they start getting very fearful. But the same Kalakanya, which is time, does not act on a devotee. They will instead start becoming fearless because she is married to fear, right? She cannot act upon a devotee. She cannot act or assert her power on Narada Muni like devotees. That means the purity of the devotee is also a very big factor. and to be considered. So, if a person, a non devotee, for that person, fear will definitely act. So, what happens is when we accept the instructions of a pure devotee like Narada Muni, right, then we can surely overcome this ocean of fear. It can be removed by just following the instructions of great personalities and Vaishnava devotees. This is the way to overcome fear. And they're like very deep lessons again of fear. Like, what is fear? We usually fear our health, our future, our relationships. We fear the mistakes we have done in the past. We fear the present. We fear the decisions that we need to make in the future. We also are very fearful if we are experiencing a happy period or time. We fear that it's going to get over. We fear separation from the loved ones. We fear even some unhappiness of the time. We are undergoing a time of very, a period which is having a lot of sorrow. We fear that this particular sorrowful period will not get over. So these are the kind of fears which generally affect a conditioned soul. But then, when Srila Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada, what do you feel when you chant? Prabhupada said, I feel fearless. So, this is the way a devotee feels. So, when they are chanting the holy names, they don't experience any fear because they're totally taking shelter of Krishna. And the stages will now cover the stages of fear, how fear just acts or unfolds in a life of conditioned soul. The first stage of fear is when we turn away completely from Krishna. That's the first thing is we have come here, the conditioned soul, we have come here to enjoy separately from Krishna. So the first thing that we have done, the conditioned souls have done, is we're turning our back completely from Krishna. The second stage is there is so much of the reality which we are experiencing over here. We accept this as reality, a reality in which Krishna does not exist. So this is the second stage. In the first stage, right, we want to enjoy, so that Bhoga Vancha Kare, that kind of a feeling is there. Enjoy, enjoy. Second is we accept this reality as real without Krishna in the picture. The third stage is when Maya takes over. Maya completely covers the soul. So they're like two kind of Shaktis. One is Avaratmika Shakti and Prakshepaatmika Shakti. These are the two different energies, external energies of Krishna. So the soul gets covered completely by this illusory energy, and the soul is given this, an identity, a false identity, that this body is himself or herself. So this is the way Maya covers. And the fourth stage is when fear arises, because you are now, the soul is now identifying with this illusionary body, right? That's the reason why fear comes. When we turn our attention completely from Krishna and we don't see Krishna in the picture, then this is what happens. Just the opposite. When we accept Krishna, then there is no way Maya can, be present over there. Where there is light, there can never be darkness. So Krishna is light. So each time we are remembering Krishna, 100% there will not be Maya at that time. Fear cannot act when we are calling out to Krishna, when we are praying to Him, or when we are reading scriptures. Anyway, somehow or the other, when we are connected with Krishna, there is no fear in those moments. I'm sure we can also, look back in our life when we have actually felt very joyful. Those are the moments where we've really connected with Krishna. When we are making Krishna as part of the equation, part of every situation, then Maya cannot come in, and then fear cannot come. But then sometimes, what conditioned souls or they usually do is, physically they'll try to make different arrangements. Mentally, they try to change their mindsets. But this is not a real way of becoming fearless. The real fearlessness is only when we let Krishna in. So this is a deep science. The more we understand it, the more we will be able to completely take it in and follow it. This is the words of the scriptures. When we follow it, only then we'll experience it. Then our faith will become more deep in this. Now I want to narrate a small story about King Bhadrahari. He lived in the city of Avanti, and his wife again her name is Pingala, and he loved her. He loved her very, very much. He was really love struck husband. He was a great king at the same time. And then in his story, during his life, he wrote three poems. Each of these poems contained 100 verses. The first poem he wrote about how to be a great ruler or a king. The second poem, which contains 100 verses, was he was glorifying the beauty of the opposite gender. And the third poem, in which we are really interested in, it contains 100 verses again. And then this is completely about renunciation. He explains 100 verses about renunciation. So this is basically his life story, the way he experienced and his realizations about what was going on. So during the time when how did he start writing this, 100 verses on renunciation? This what happens. One time, a great sage will come to his kingdom, and then he'll ask about his whereabouts, and the king really takes care very well, and the sage is very happy, and then he gives him a fruit of immortality. And the king, now being really love struck with his wife, and he just adores her so much, so he just thinks, contemplates, if I eat this fruit of immortality, I'm going to live forever. But what's the use of living forever if my wife is not present? So the best thing that I can do is I'll give this to her. And this is the dish proves he really had so much of affection. Of course, it was to enjoy, but then he goes and gives this fruit as a gift to this wife. And the wife now, she will think she loves this charioteer with whom she always used to go in the evening for an evening stroll in the forest or in the kingdom. She was loving the charioteer. So she'll also think the same thing. What's the use of me living forever? I love this charioteer. I need to present this fruit of immortality to him. So she will give the fruit of immortality to the charioteer. So, but she doesn't know that the charioteer, after he used to do his complete duty, he used to go and meet a prostitute. So now he will also think the same thing. What's the use of my life living forever without the use of, this prostitute? So let me give this fruit to her. So he'll present the fruit to this prostitute. Now she will be thinking, I have this one person in my mind and I love him so much. And if somehow the other, if I can attract his attention, then my life will be set. And since I'm very insignificant and I'm not able to attract his attention, this is the best way. I've got this fruit of immortality. I'm just going to go present it to this person. So the next day, what she'll do, she'll go to the palace and then she'll ask the guards, I need to meet the king. And then she will go present this fruit of immortality to this king, Bhadrahari. And now Bhadrahari is like stunned. He understands that two such fruits cannot be present. The sages gave one fruit of immortality. So that means my wife, who I love so much, she's given it to the charioteer, who's given it to the prostitute, and she's now giving it to me. So then he will get this um, what do you say, realization. The hard truth strikes him that, oh, this is what's happening. I'm giving my heart to this person. And then this person is giving the heart, my love, her heart to somebody else. So there is no one over here in this material world who really truly reciprocates. They have their own, this is the start of the original life, what is it, love triangle, like that. The song is like, I gave my heart to you, and the very next day you gave it away. A very famous song. So that this he understands. So this is the way how things happen in this material world. So this realization, this shock, inspires him to write these 100 verses, the third set of poem, which is all about renunciation. So in this third set of poem, all about renunciation, he talks about fear. It's very beautiful. He says, enjoyment fears disease. So each time a conditioned soul wants to enjoy, they really fear disease, because once disease sets in, right, then it's like a block to sense gratification. I know the sensory capacity to enjoy gets decreased if there's disease. So each time there is a feeling or a necessity to want to enjoy, then it cannot happen when there is disease. You think about anybody who has blood pressure or sugar, diabetes, and various other disease, their enjoyment is constricted. So enjoyment fears disease. Second one he tells is attachment fears loss of family. And the conditioned soul is very much attached to another conditioned soul, another soul, right? What happens is they really fear this person or losing the person. So that doesn't mean that we should not have any affection or intimate, relationship. We should, but we should not be attached because that's the reality of this material world. But then there is another spiritual reality of attachment, which we can see in the case and story of Haridas Thakur, of how much he was so attached to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he says, Mahaprabhu, I cannot see you leaving the world. I would like to leave before you. And Mahaprabhu fulfills his strong desire. So this kind of attachment to spiritual personality is totally fine. To the Supreme Lord is totally fine. But then any kind of attachment to other souls, other living entities in this world, then we can surely experience some kind of fear of losing such family people or members. Third one he speaks about is greed, fears loss of money. When there is greed or laulyam, right, especially for money, then what happens? There is always like fear. When there's so much of anxiety, fear and anxiety to get money, there is so much of struggle to achieve it. When it's not there, there's fear, oh gosh, we don't have it. And then when it's there, it's again, oh gosh, how do we save it? So everywhere from the start to the beginning, there's only fear of what's going to happen or what should I be doing. So this fear is going to come when there is greed. The happiest persons are people, not that they have the most amount of thing. The happiest, the richest person is not somebody who has everything. The richest person is a person who needs the least. That is the richest person. That's the way we can understand power. When there is power, right? Power fears enemies. When a person has got position, some kind of high rank, they fear other enemies, means they fear that this position might be taken away. If somebody is more qualified than me, I might be replaced. It's exactly what's happening in the job market today across the world. Everybody's fearing that their particular position will be taken away by somebody else. So much of fear. Why? Because there is this attachment to this power or position. Beauty fears old age. The whole of our cosmetic industry, which is like a billion dollar industry across different countries, this also just runs. And their what do you say, USP is just that old age is going to come and attack you. Please just use these products and just undergo these surgeries. You're going to look young forever, but nobody can stop death, right? So then we also have scholarship. Those who have scholarship, they fear new theories. When new theories are coming in, right? Like say right now we have artificial intelligence and chat GPT, etc. So those who are like learned, those who have done their PhDs, etc., they fear like their knowledge has become now obsolete. And everybody fears death ultimately. There is no escaping that. There is a sense of death, a fear of death in every conditioned soul, unless they're a pure devotee, unless they've taken complete shelter of Krishna. They can never escape this fear of death. Every person. They say that in a rabbit's hole, that means in the army, right? When the two armies or the soldiers in the other opposite sections are like fighting, they usually dig a trench. In those trenches, the soldiers go hide, and then from there they take cover. They'll shoot and again come and hide in the rabbit hole. There's a saying which says, there's a saying which goes like this: that there are no atheists in the rabbit hole. That means somebody who doesn't even believe in God, he'll say, "Oh God, please direct me." Oh God, at least he will say that, because there is fear of death. So this is reality. And we must have seen also some people as they keep aging, we can see, and sometimes even those who are young also fear nowadays, right? So that's there. The only way to get over this fear of enjoyment is understanding that sense gratification is not the only way. It's not our real enjoyment. We're not meant for experiencing bliss through just enjoyment through the senses. This way we can understand that this way we can overcome this fear of this enjoyment. Second one is attachment. I spoke about spiritual attachment. Greed is by understanding that we need to be having greed or laulyam in the spiritual context, for hearing more, for chanting more, for taking serving Krishna more. So this way we can utilize greed. power and then beauty and scholarship, all these are temporary. When we understand how temporary they are, it just makes us get really, the truth strikes, and then it makes us realize this is really worthless. And fear of death, definitely. This, the only way I explained was just take shelter of Krishna. He is the only one who can protect us ultimately. We have many stories where even Srila Prabhupada, some disciples, they had served Prabhupada very well, many years, and then they did fall down from that position of being, or like, chanting and etc. And then, but then when they were dying, especially this particular one case I'd like to say, where this Prabhu was experiencing some terminal disease, and he was going through a lot of pain on the deathbed, and his wife was seeing that my husband is struggling. And suddenly, just a few minutes before he was leaving, he just told his wife, "Hey, look, Prabhupada has come to take me." And she just turns and she can't see Prabhupada. And then he just smiles and leaves his body. So when um, a devotee has served Srila Prabhupada, and they've served Krishna sincerely for whatever time, right? Prabhupada and Krishna will make arrangements. And in those last few moments of his life, which could have been very miserable, Prabhupada came. So he became fearless over death, right? So this is something which we can see how it happened. And fear of death can be conquered only by taking shelter of Krishna. There's no other way, no other way, no other way. So again, chanting is the Kali Yuga's Yuga Dharma. By taking a full shelter of our chanting process, we can really become fearless. And the next section that I would like to speak about is, one cannot really experience life completely, or cannot live up to one's complete full potential, make the right decisions, or take the right risks in life when there is fear lurking in their heart and mind. We cannot even make proper connections and relationships with others because we fear to be vulnerable in those relationships. So this fear will block us all that. Fear has been blocking us all the time. And only way this fear which is hiding in the mind can come over. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about a sage of steady mind. He says, Dukeshu Vignamanaha Sukeshu Vita Spriha Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha Sitadi Muni Uchyate. That means only a sage of steady mind who has overcome this attachment, fear, and anger. He is the only person who can actually be ready to undergo this roller coaster ride of different kind of experiences which life throws at him, because he has a steady mind. When our spiritual practice is very deep, it what do you say, empowers, and it gives the person the emotional stability to deal with different experiences which life throws, exactly like this sage with a steady mind. Otherwise it's just like, fear will just encompass. So we can always meditate. The sage with a steady mind, he does not have attachments, fear, or anger. It might be very difficult to say like, oh come on, how can we come to this stage, but my goal in presenting this is just so that we get equipped with what the shastras are saying, so that at least by understanding it, if we can implement something out of this presentation, it'll surely bring a change in our lives. Now, next we can see an example of this sage with a steady mind is our little Prahlad, who was just 5 years old boy. But then Prahlad is so exemplary. And when devotees in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, this is a text from Sri Sampradaya, and then the sages are like, in the scripture, they're just asking, hey Prahlad, didn't you feel fearful when you were thrown in this pit of snakes? And Prahlad answers, Vishnu is my father, right? And my Vishnu is sleeping on this bed of Anantashesh. Anantashesh is the master of all the snakes. So when I was thrown in a pit of snakes, so how would the servants of my master's master attack me? So I had no fear. This is the answer of Prahlad Maharaj. And then the sages can ask, Didn't you have fear when they put you in this, burning fire? Prahlad says, well, Vishnu, my father, he is the mouth of the yagna fire that we do, right? He's the, in that we put all the offerings. That the tongue or the mouth of the yagna is Vishnu. So how would fire, affect me? They'll ask, hey Prahlad, when you were given this, pot of poison to drink, didn't you have any fear? Prahlad says, when the milk ocean was getting churned, Mother Lakshmi came. Mother Lakshmi is my father, Vishnu's wife. And then at the same time, there was also poison which was, coming out. So poison is technically my maternal uncle. So how would my maternal uncle, which is poison, how would that affect me? So I had no fear. This is Prahlad, so fearless. And Krishna again says in the Bhagavad Gita, one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I'm not lost to him, neither is he lost to me. So Prahlad exemplifies this smaranam, which is always remembering Krishna. Since he always remembered Krishna in every situation, and every minute there was presence of Krishna in his mind, Prahlad never ever, Prahlad never had, just 1 second, Prahlad never had any fear. He never experienced it. Just by, meditating on how beautifully he answers, we can realize the level of consciousness of Prahlad Maharaj. Very, very beautiful. Again, Krishna says in the Gita, Brahmabhuta prasannatmana sochatina kangshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. A person who's come to the Brahman platform, understanding he or she is a soul, they don't lament about the past, they don't hanker about the future, they're present. And only in that stage you can perform, devotional service. So right now what we are doing is sadhana bhakti. We're just practicing devotional service. It's not the real devotional service. Real devotion starts from Brahmabhuta platform. Of course, Krishna is seeing our our bhava, or the our emotions, our intentions, and what we are doing. That this is what Krishna is seeing, and he's accepting and he's reciprocating. So we don't have to become really disheartened, but then that joyous platform, or that joy or bliss can be experienced when we really realize we are we are that we are the soul, and we are servants of Krishna. This is our true identity. From that platform, when we are doing service, the bliss and the reciprocation is much, much more. And when we follow, as I mentioned before, the instructions of Narad Muni, fear is completely conquered. Srimad Bhagavatam is the very means of conquest in this Kali Yuga. We're taking deep shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam also. We can, get over fear. Anger, fear, all these negative emotions, we cannot repress it. And we should also not let it loose. We need to process it and let go. We need to understand why it's coming. So, like that, there is some work of processing which needs to be done, and then we need to let go about it. If we cannot do that, then it's gonna just again, push us really down. And then what really devotees do is a Kanishta devotee, person who's just started like a neophyte, they see the Shastras through their emotions. But a Madhyama sees those emotions in the Shastras. It's just the opposite. So what Madhyama devotee does is he gets a very a vantage points, or he gets a very broad perspective. So from the perspective of the Shastra, or Shastra Chakshushu, he's able to see his life through the lens of the Shastras. So this way, he's able to process those emotions of fear. Krishna is personally present in the Bhagavatam, pages of Bhagavatam, and in the Gita. It's living, he's living Gita, or and the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Krishna himself. If we approach these spiritual scriptures in the right mood, right, the answers are provided. And each of us can attest, testify and say that, yes, I've had beautiful experiences in my life, like how Krishna has reciprocated and given me the answer. So like this, we can take shelter of the Shastras. That second point that we can do to get over this fear is revealing our minds to Vaishnavas, and getting their perspective, and they'll give you a very transcendental answer of what needs to be done, and help us in processing our fears. In Amritavani, our Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj says, what's real association with devotees is when we're really honest, we're able to hear some Harikatha, and also we act on the inspiration that we derive in during that discussion. So when we can do these three things, again, we need to be really honest with the other devotee. We need to have exchange of harikatha. Third is acting on inspiration. When we can do these three things, that means we're really taking association. And this way, when we express our fears, and then when we get those answers, when we act upon those instructions or suggestions which are given, we're taking that devotee's association and helping process our fears to get over them. And of course, again, I already mentioned about how holy name is the true shelter. When we are very fearful, when we have chanted, how many people have, so many cases where people were almost meeting an accident and they started chanting Nrsingadeva, Nrsingadeva. And then, though, somehow their life was, what do you say? Their life was saved. We have stories of Mataji during book distribution time, during early years in the 1970s. While doing book distribution, she was with a group of devotees, Matajis and Prabhus, and then she somehow was some of the bylane she was giving. She got separated from that group, and then a person came to do something bad to her, but then she started chanting Nrsingadevs. No, just the names of Nrsingadev loudly, Nrsingadeva, Nrsingadeva. This person got shocked. He was like, and he just left her, and then he went, and she was so amazed that her life was saved just by chanting Nrsingadev's name. So this is the power of chanting the holy names of Krishna. It's just like in the dark clouds, right? I mean, just imagine the sky, which is completely dark. In that dark sky, a small sliver of opening. That is when we pray or reach out to the Lord. That's when we take the holy name. Then grace flows in. There is mercy which will come. There's protection because Krishna and the holy name are not different. So when we can understand this and embrace it fully, right, we'll experience beautiful things. So we need to have mental purity again. The more we get, the more we can move towards purity in the mind, purity of the mind by cleansing our mind. Then we can overcome fear. So again, how do we get purity? Purity will come by again chanting. Purity comes when we have this intention and sankalpa that I want to become pure. When we want to get rid of our anarthas and pray to Krishna and work on them actively, doing certain steps from our end, right? Krishna will help. Then this, this covering of fear which is present, it'll just melt away by Krishna's mercy. So this is what I would like to speak about today. And one more thing is our true shelter, right? So again, this verse is there which speaks very nicely about Bhayam Dvitiya Viniveshitasyad Ishad Apetasya Viparyo Smriti Tanmayayato Buddha Abhijitvam Bhaktya Yakenisam Guru Devatatma. It says, fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as a material body because of absorption in the external illusionary energy of the Lord. When the living entity thus turns away from the Supreme Lord, he also forgets that his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. This bewildering, fearful condition is affected by the potency for illusion called Maya. Therefore, an intelligent person should always engage unflinchingly in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, whom he should accept as his worshipable deity and his very life and soul. So the only way to get over fear is by accepting devotional service. It's unalloyed devotional service. So as long as there is some anarthas, we will keep experiencing fear. But then we need to know that this is the right path. When our faith is strong, we'll continue in this process. Again, Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 4th canto, 8th chapter, it says, with the combination of both Kali, which is quarrel, and harsh speech, they were born children called death and fear. So we are in this age of Kali Yuga where there is quarrel, apparently there's a lot of quarrel. So a combination of quarrel and harsh speech, it produces death and fear. So with this, we can understand. And very nicely, since Nrsinga Chaturdasi is coming Wednesday, there's this beautiful verse again from 7th canto. It explains like how the lion is very fearsome. When you see the teeth and the eyes, and when it's roaring, it's very fearsome. And when you take a child to the zoo, also they get scared when they see the lion. It's most of the kids. But then the lion's cub, they don't see the lion as ferocious. For the cub, the lion is it's their mother, right? And then same thing in the ocean, even big elephants just get washed away because land animals cannot survive in the ocean. But yet, small, tiny fishes, they are able to swim effortlessly against, like they can swim upstream in the oceans. When a big elephant cannot survive, this small fish swims upstream. How is it possible? Because it's the ocean is considered their natural habitat. Like that, Nrsingadev, even if he looks fearsome to non-devotees, for a devotee, he's very auspicious, and devotees take shelter of Nrsingadeva to overcome fear. How many times have you chanted Narsingas or mantras when somebody is sick, somebody is ill, and how much strength and fearlessness have you experienced in those moments? I can tell you from my experience, so many times I've done that. And there is peace, there is fearlessness which can be experienced, but then we need to give our heart and soul to chanting of these holy names of the Lord. Then only this fear can we can overcome. And as that other verse said by this bodily conception, as long as it's present, fear is there. The more we move towards our true identity as servants of Krishna, then we will be able to overcome fear. So with this, I'd like to end. Thank you so much for your kind association. Now I can open up the meeting for any comments, questions, corrections. Yes, devotees.
Hare Krishna, dear Taruni, Radha Mataji. This is amazing class. I have two questions. So you said, real association, we have to be honest, we have to have Harikatha. What's the third item?
And we need to follow the instruction which has been given or shared in that association.
Oh, okay.
When
And
we are
then
able,
you quoted, go ahead.
we are able to follow. That means we really taken up that association. In fact, any person that we meet with, right? When we are meeting with them and we are talking, be it work or anywhere, we are exchanging karma. This is what Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, his name is Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, says that each time we're meeting anybody, or like say we're seeing or scrolling something in the whatever in the internet, again we're taking association. There's the exchange of karma. Karma means what? Impressions. Certain impressions are getting exchanged each time we meet. Whatever we are doing with these senses, right? External senses, they are feeding our consciousness with all these things. So when we are able to associate with real Vaishnavas and taken their advice, then we are really taking up their association. So we shall see we are opening our heart. Yeah, what's the second question?
Yeah, okay, so yeah, you're right, taking up, these impressions, they go to feed our consciousness. And then you quoted a verse, Bijam.
Bayam,
What is that verse?
Bayam Dvityam Abhivinish. Yeah, wait 1 second. It is verse number 11. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.37.
Okay.
It's a very famous verse actually. It's present in the Gita. It talks about how the bodily conception causes fear, and then the more we move towards devotional, unflinching devotional service to Krishna, then we can overcome this fear. I can share this verse number and verse with you, Mataji.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. It's a really amazing talk you gave. You started off how does what breeds fear? Uncertainty breeds fear, and you went through the steps and how to overcome it, and what are the process. And I appreciate your example with how you share with Shura Prabhupada is that when we chant, we have no fear, and that we're taking shelter of the Lord. So that's such a nice example that you shared with us. Thank you so much for your consistency in giving us your talk, and appreciate you, and we love you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Each time I'm able to do this service, it's my heart is getting cleansed. So it just keeps me inspired to go deeper and then come and share. In today's class, it's of course from different speakers.
I just want to say that, Radha, I'm so proud of you. Thank you. I love you so much.
It means so much to me coming from you. I hope I followed up your recommendations from last class.
Yes.
Somehow right came in. I'm like, oh God, cringy. I was fearful of using the word right in my conversation class today. But then,
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Lot of improvements. So I'm very proud of you.
thank you. Thank you so much for giving your nice recommendations. I think we're done then.
We have a comment from Veena Mataji. Hare Krishna, such a beautiful class. Thank you, Mataji. Any other sharings? Any reflections? I was hearing another talk, and the speaker, you shared that if when we give reflections, that means we're paying attention, and it encourages the speaker as well. So please, give any feedback, comments, reflections, anything you heard.
Mataji, it was a beautiful class. I liked the most the example you gave of Prahlad in all different situations, like, when he was thrown to the snakes or like the fire. Like, it was really nice. Thank you.
And also, it really touched my heart too. Sri Vaishnava's commentary about Prahlad Maharaj's exchange. I think, when we reflect at the end of the class, something that struck us in the class, it helps the other people to it'll remind them of that, that point which you liked, also perhaps inspire them to follow it. It'll inspire you yourself to follow something. Somehow it'll stay in your consciousness when you speak it out. That's what I've realized. I think we can wrap up. It's 9:70. Thank you so much for your kind association and encouragement. Very, very grateful to all of you for allowing me to serve. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shradhe. And Rupini Premati. Always
Taruni, Radha Devi ki jai. Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Gaura Bhagat. Thank you everybody for participating. All the best. Have a rest of good day or night.